Hello, audience, and welcome to another segment of Focus on the Issues. I am Rose, your host today. And today on Focus on the Issues, we have a wonderful, wonderful guest for you. She is an author who has written her own autobiography, the book, A Third World Awakening. And please help me welcome Miss Marlene Daley. How are you, Miss Marlene?
I'm so well, thank you, Rose.
Welcome to the show. We're glad to have you, and thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Now, for those of the audience that don't know Miss Daley, I want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Well, again, my name is Marlene Daley. My book is A Third World Awakening. I am originally from Jamaica, and I've been living here in Atlanta for the past 5 years. I am mother to 4 beautiful children, Ayun, Jerice, Tafet, and Tariq. And I was married to Richard Daley of Third World Band.
Now, let's go ahead and take a quick break. We'll be right back with our first question.
Sound Explosion Entertainment is a professional DJ service serving Metro Atlanta and its surrounding areas. We provide the most reliable and dependable service at affordable prices. Our goal is to provide the best service that exceeds customer satisfaction. Visit our website at www.soundexplosionent.com. That's www.soundexplosionent.com, or call us at 404-910-4589. That's 404-910-4589.
We are back, audience, with Marlene Daley, the author of A Third World Awakening, an autobiography of herself. Now, Miss Daley, to start with, we know that writing this book was such a spiritual journey for you, and I wanted to know what actually led you to that journey.
My marriage finally came to an end around 1989, and it threw me into a bit of a depression. It was very frightening. It was very frightening because here I was on my own for the first time in so many years, and now with the responsibility for 4 children. I didn't know where life was leading, but what I know is that I usually find something to take my focus away from all things immediate. And the thought came to just write isolated jottings of my life's experiences that were very outstanding to me. And that's basically how the book came about. It was, as I said, supposed to be isolated. But then I asked myself, where do I start? Because, there were so many of those. And my soul, my spirit said to me, well, you start from the beginning. And that's where I started. And it just evolved into a book.
Well, you know what? This is actually a great book. And just going to our next question is between dating and marrying Richard Daley for about a total of 18 years. Correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. And when did you first think about writing, or your approach on it? Did you ever think about that prior to your divorcing Mr. Daley?
Not at all. I consider myself an inspired writer. Okay. And I wrote sporadically. I wrote when I tell people my channels are open and I'm receiving. And so I had written poetry before, but as I said, this was not meant to be poetry or a book. It's supposed to be just jottings of outstanding experiences.
Yeah, it must be really difficult just to sit down and actually share with the world your innermost secrets of this book. So what actually inspired you to actually want to share your story with the world?
I am an avid reader, and I like autobiographies. I think the more and more that I read is the more I understand that despite the differences that we have within, amongst us, we have a lot in common in terms of our experiences on a daily basis. We have to meet challenges head on, and we have to always find a way to cope. and it's very consoling for me when I come upon stories that speaks to me in that way. I had no problems about opening my life to people, because I believe that if I can inspire a few, if I can motivate a few, if I can uplift a few, then my life would have some deeper purpose.
Exactly, exactly. Now, what would you say that your audience, the audience that is actually reading the book, what is the most innermost or the most experience you would hope they would take away from your book?
Right. Well, I'm from very humble beginnings, even though a lot of it I was not aware of, because my family background was in a vacuum, for want of a better way of putting it. We were not allowed to go out and to have too many friends. And I think that what I want people to take from the book is that regardless of your circumstances, regardless of where you're from in life, you know, it's pretty much like my mother always said, where there's a will, there's a way. Exactly. And that we can aspire to become the greatest of ourselves.
Wow, that's a great thought. Now, what have you learned personally from writing this book about yourself?
An autobiography is very cathartic. It's therapy. It's about venting, and it's healing. It's healing. I have reflected on a great portion of my life, and I see it not so much now as hardships, but more as a preparation for where I am and where I will be going in the future.
Okay, great. I wanted to know too, you did mention that you you actually loved writing when you were younger, especially poetry. Who would you actually credit to you loving writing? Is there a special author, family member?
Yeah. Well, yes. At about 7 years old, I learned a poem, and it did not just inspire me to write, but it inspired some deeper spiritual thoughts. I never forget the poem because we had to recite it. It's a poem called I Wonder. And it says, I wonder why the grass is green and why the wind is never seen. Who taught the birds to build their nests and told the trees to take a rest? Or when the moon is not quite round, where can the missing bits be found? Who lights the stars when they go out and makes the lightning flash about? Who paints the rainbow in the sky and hangs the fluffy clouds so high? Why is it now, do you suppose, that Dad won't tell me if he knows?
Wow, you gave me goosebumps just reading this. Oh, well, I can see where you get your inspiration from. That is a wonderful poem, and just hearing that as a kid, of course, that would inspire you to do great things. Now, if somebody actually wanted to read your book, where would they actually find your book, or wanted to contact you for more information?
www.athirdworldawakening.com. I encourage you to visit the site, to get the book. The book is being dubbed a life-changing experience.
Okay.
It brings the reader to truth, not just about me, but within themselves. I have no doubt that it will be a good read.
Good. And what kind of audience would you actually want to see reading your book?
Those who may. As I said before, that we are essentially spirit housed in a body, and our experiences in life are very, very similar. Exactly. Even though they might be packaged differently. Exactly. And so I think there is something in the book for everyone. but it's also a window. It's also a window into the culture of Jamaica.
Exactly.
And I love cultures, and I really think that it's worth the read.
Okay, great. So, Miss Daly, excuse me, do you actually have any other projects coming out anytime soon?
Yes. I started working on my second book, which I have yet to name. And I have set that aside at the moment because I am launching my magazine called Distinguished Jamaicans in December. It's a magazine that will bring to focus my Jamaican fellow men who have achieved worldwide recognition through whatever field they're in.
Do you have a final thought for the audience that you want to leave them with?
Oh, absolutely. I would suggest that, first of all, in marriage, we never ever collapse ourselves. We love to the extent that we can, but we tend to get lost along the way. And I think we should maintain a course of pursuit of our own dreams and do not leave that behind.
Well said, Miss Daly. Well said.
Thank you.
You know what? Thank you so much for coming out and talking to us about your book. And hopefully you will be back again with your new project.
Yes, absolutely. I look forward to that. And thanks again for having me, Rose.
Thank you. And you heard it here, audience. Please, please, guys, go out and get this book. It's called A Third World Awakening. The author is Marlene Daley. So you can Google this book, and like you said, you can go into the website she has given you to actually pick up this book. And you know what, just to kind of like remember, like she said, you have to love yourself first before you can allow anyone else to love you. So this is the whole point of the book, loving oneself. That is the point that I'm taking away from the book, I should say, personally for me. So please, audience, just pick up this book. Christmas is coming, Thanksgiving coming, birthdays are always in the works, so please do so. And thanks again for watching. This is Rose, and stay focused.